I was listening to a couple of sports radio shows following NBA All-Star Weekend and just kind of put you in perspective of where we're at in the season, right? So we obviously know sports radio shows, if they had it their way, they talk about the NFL year round. Let's be clear. The NFL is a big ratings draw. It's the most popular sport in our country by far. To me, it is the new America's pastime. Obviously, the gambling, the big money wagers is in the NFL. The NFL is the biggest sport in America by far. And obviously, a lot of these sports radio shows since the Super Bowl have been talking about, Dak Prescott. Is he going to get franchise tagged again? Are the Cowboys going to work out a long-term deal? Now you got Deshaun Watson. Will the Texans trade him? And then obviously now Russell Wilson even. A lot of talk about black quarterbacks and if they're going to get traded or not. A lot of top-tier quarterbacks in our league just so happen to be black quarterbacks polarizing the headlines. And the sports radio shows have been eating that stuff up. And we got the draft coming up, all that great stuff. So today's the day where a lot of these sports radio shows are like, damn, we got to talk about things that are actually happening on the field or the court, which is the NBA, hockey, NBA. And NBA obviously is more popular in this country than hockey. So now we're seeing where some of these top tier sports shows are at with it. And one of the headlines that came out of last night's game, I'm seeing on a lot of talk shows, is LeBron James only plays a few minutes, only had a couple buckets in the All-Star game. It was Team LeBron. Why wasn't he out there playing more? Well, hold on real quick. First off, LeBron has played every game pretty much for the Lakers this year except their last one against Sacramento. You go through the list of guys that made that All-Star team, and pretty much every one of them have missed more time than LeBron has this season. Second off, the man's been the captain of the game every year that it's happened. The last 4 years, he's been the captain of the game, right? And also, I want to incorporate this. A lot of stars, you can kind of trade them in and out, not named Giannis over the last 4 years. They've missed time. We saw Steph and KD miss it last year. KD the year before. We've seen all-stars miss the all-star game because they've been out with injury around that time. And I think it's worth noting that LeBron James, up until this all-star game, he's played a lot of these all-star minutes. And obviously the man's 36 years of age. At some point, that wear and tear, I know the king is the king, but that body, age is something that's undefeated. Time is undefeated in this thing called life. So I had no problem with LeBron James missing most of that All-Star game. He was there. He showed up to Atlanta. He did the press. He did exactly what he needed to do as the ambassador of the game. He showed up. I want to get that over here, and I want to swing this thing over to another guy. So it was Team LeBron against who? Was it Team LeBron against Team Giannis? No. Giannis was on LeBron's team. Was it Team LeBron against Team Kawhi? Nah, Kawhi wasn't on LeBron's team this year. He's on the other team, but it wasn't his team. He's not popular enough to win the fan vote. Who's team? Team Embiid? No. He couldn't make the trip because of COVID tracing. Team Harden? No, but Harden balled out, but it wasn't Team Harden. Team Irvin? Was it Team Kyrie? No, but Kyrie balled out too out the gate. Then he struggled later on. Whose team was it? It was Team Durant's. Now, I believe in my heart of hearts, if the playoffs started tomorrow, KD would be playing for the Brooklyn Nets. But over the last few weeks, he's been sitting out, and he's been watching his boys, James Harden and Kyrie Irving, take turns balling out, especially Harden. But I do think it's worth noting, because KD does get pissed at this type of stuff. KD has always thought his name should have been equal to or over LeBron's over the last 5 to 8 years. And let's be clear, when KD's on the court, his game does do the talking. But that's when he's on the court. See, what I think the headline out of last night's All-Star game should have been, LeBron only plays a few minutes, KD doesn't play at all. We're focused on the top of that headline more than the other half of that. And to be fair, Giannis held it down. It was good to see Steph back. Boy, did the NBA miss Steph Curry. And Damian Lillard is now becoming one of the more popular guys in the league. But KD didn't even make the trip. He was out due to injury. Jason Tatum replaced him as a starter. Sabonis got into the game because of KD's absence. All right, we get it. I do believe if the playoffs started tomorrow, KD would be there. And to me, it brings me to a bigger point about Kevin Durant and his legacy. Too many times, Durant, injuries are derailing him for being in top-tier games. All-Star Game is a game that does a big rating for the NBA every year. You get a lot of casual fans. They'll watch the game. A lot of women, they'll sit down with their boyfriends, husbands, and their girlfriends. They'll watch the All-Star Game. People travel for the All-Star Game, so they watch a lot of it at bars and clubs. People gather for it, right? It's a big event. It's a bigger event than most regular season games for the NBA, right? So that's why Adam Silver and the league, they had to get it done. That's why they pushed to get this game done no matter what. KD wasn't there for that one. And he wasn't there for the finals last year because he was out with injury. And he wasn't there for the All-Star Game in 2020 either because of injury. And he got injured in the 2019 finals in which the Raptors were able to defeat the Golden State Warriors. He tried to come back and got injured. It was ugly to see. I hated that. That man loves the game so much, he wanted to be out there. But I do want to tell this to Durant fans. One of the reasons why your guy's name isn't brought up in conversations that they should be more is he's missing a lot of moments. You miss back-to-back All-Star games. It's one of the biggest times that companies brand themselves, players brand themselves like, come on now, KD's out again. Usually they make All-Star versions of those Nike kicks that he's got, right? You're missing that opportunity to brand yourself. The playoffs, he's not been available the last couple years. He missed a postseason in OKC as well one time. Durant is suffering from moment missing. And I believe that is hurting him long term. All you can do is create moments on the biggest stages. That's what it's about. That's why championships matter so much. That's why rings matter so much, because everybody is watching two teams play, battle for it all. And obviously we're human, so we can only remember so much. I'm not going to remember the Brooklyn Nets beating the Washington Wizards in the middle of January of 2021 when I think back about Kevin Durant, unless he scored 80 or 90, right? What you are going to remember is Kevin Durant injuring himself against the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs in 2019. What you're going to remember is Kevin Durant hopefully taking his Brooklyn Nets to the finals this year. It'd be great for the league alongside Harden or Irving, and we'll see if they're able to get it done or not. If they're able, you're going to remember the playoffs. You're going to remember those finals runs or what wasn't there. Those things matter more. Another thing, I know the bubble wasn't look, a lot of people didn't like watching the bubble, but remember, KD wasn't at the bubble either. That was a moment in time. When you get older, or, whatever your age is, you're going to think back and think, dang, y'all remember when they played in the bubble? Again, another one of those moments where in your mind, you're going to think Dame, you're going to think Book, you're going to think LeBron and AD, you're going to think Jimmy Butler, and you're going to think Giannis struggling. And you're not going to think KD, because again, it's another one of these opportunities where he was not available for a team. I know he was battling back, trying to get back from that Achilles injury, but I'm just putting together to Durant fans why his name isn't brought up in conversations. It's even ridiculous that people are not talking about Durant today like he wasn't even at the game. And he is healthy enough to play. I've heard that behind the scenes. He just is trying to play it safe with the Achilles injury, and nobody's faulting him for that, but it is the reality. Like, there's even disrespect in that. Like LeBron, his greatness is so great, his popularity is so popular that they're talking about LeBron as if he missed a game. He played for a few minutes. He showed up to Atlanta when Durant didn't even make the trip. Couldn't even perform for a few minutes. Like, that is, to me, the bigger story. Not LeBron. LeBron gets up and he's there. And the man ain't missing time. Durant's missed more games this year by a lot than LeBron, who's only missed one game for the Lakers this year. We ain't talking about Durant and him missing games because he can miss time and his team can be great. LeBron missed with the Lakers, they lose to the Sacramento Kings. All I'm saying is the talking points in the league have become so polarized and the media is so lazy. They talk LeBron. They're missing out on real storylines. KD's health, Durant's lack of being there in big moments over the last few years. And now we're looking at a new crop of young guys. I would argue the Zion Williamsons of the world have positioned themselves because he was such a big player in college and on social media, the viral dunks. Wouldn't be surprised one bit if Zion's a bigger jersey seller than KD in the next couple of years. I haven't looked at the jersey list in the last few months, but wouldn't be surprised if Dame passes by him. If Bradley Beal could find a way out of Washington, he's another guy that could easily pass by KD on jersey sales. I wouldn't, unless Durant and the Nets are able to win a championship this year, which they might. I would not be surprised one bit if Durant, as big of a brand as he is and big of a brand he is with Nike, slowly starts to come down as guys like Luka, Giannis, Zion, Beal, as their brands start to tick up. Catch full new episodes of FERRO's music-based platform every day only on YouTube at It's Mr. Taliaferro. You can also find clips, updates, giveaways, and more on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, also at It's Mr. Taliaferro. For all basketball fans, make sure you tune in to FERRO's daily highlights, reports, and commentary on YouTube at HoopsFerro, and even more updates on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at HoopsFerro as well.